Good afternoon, and welcome to a trackside live version of Out of the Fast Lane. And what a guest for the first time ever doing this. NASCAR Xfinity Series champion from 2024, Justin Allgaier, joining me here. We're at Volusia Speedway Park. Obviously Daytona next week, we'll chat about that in a minute, but kind of been a up and down week to start for you, but how much fun you having here at Volusia?
Well, I think the key part is we're always having fun, right? This week is just, it's a blast. It's kind of get away and separate your mind from all the stuff that's going on, and probably challenge myself in a way that, the NASCAR stuff is very different from this, and so challenge myself. But also too, having the parts business and the tire business and shock business and building cars, a lot of our customers are down here racing, so it's beneficial for us to be here and be a part of it and just hang out and help our customers whenever we can. So a lot going on, a lot of fun, but definitely has been up and down. We got crashed in I-1 with a brand new car. Had to do some frame repair. Not ideal, but it's how this sport goes. And sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield, right? So we definitely have had to work on our program.
102 cars here this week. Every year it seems like the count gets higher and higher. Or probably by next year we'll have like close to 110 cars here. But from a driver standpoint, I mean, you're racing against 102 guys. Some of the guys you race with regularly in the NASCAR world, you're coming to race your dirt, and you got all the dirt regulars as well. Having that mixture of drivers coming in and racing, it's got to be fun racing these guys.
It's cool. It reminds me a lot of big races like the Chili Bowl, where you get racers from other disciplines that come and be a part of it. This race is very unique in that, in a lot of parts of the country, the weather's still terrible. And it is anything but terrible here. It is sunny.
It's 80 degrees today.
80 degrees. It's beautiful. It's hot.
It is.
And those are things that it draws a lot of people to come down here. Everybody wants to see a Gator. Everybody wants to win a Gator. I would say for me though, it's been this has always been the kickoff to Speed Weeks, and the Clash has changed, and a lot of things have changed in our sport of NASCAR, of how things operate. This week, here and at New Smyrna has always been like the kickoff to Speed Weeks, and that's always been important for me to be down here and be a part of it. I probably have a lot of stuff going on back in Charlotte right now that I should be attending to, getting ready for the 500 and everything. But just all in all, it's really fun week, and we're all having a good time.
And as a driver, starting your week here, starting your season here pretty much, because you used to do the Chili Bowl. Obviously, you haven't stepped away from doing that to start your year. So you come here and start it. Is that important to you to have a little bit of dirt racing before you get back into your NASCAR?
Well, I think it's a humbling experience for me because I get my butt kicked regularly. I think that the dirt track world, whether it be the sprint cars, the late models, the big block modifieds, us, whoever it is that's down here that's racing in Volusia, or you go over to New Smyrna and you watch that late model racing and short track racing. Short track racing right now is alive and well. The competition level is 10/10, right? You have teams, cars, all this stuff is really, it's growing as far as competition. Maybe not necessarily car count in a lot of places, but the competition is growing significantly. And I think that for me, that's what's important to be here. You're always looking at young drivers that are coming up. You're looking at guys that you measure yourself off of. And I know that, obviously I've been lucky enough to make it to NASCAR and win a championship now. I still measure myself off of the racers that are here too, right? There are guys that I highly respect and look up to that are here in the dirt world. And so for me, it's just a fun week. I get to hang out with my guys, work my butt off. I got, all kinds of dirt under my fingernails. I actually get to work and be a part of it, and it's fun. It's a lot. It's a busy week, but it's just fun.
Now we got to look back at 2024. Obviously, the dream season for NASCAR. You win the NASCAR Xfinity Championship after years of trying to finally get that championship. I mean, that's got to be the holy grail moment for you in your career, and finally getting it done. I'm sure it's got to mean so much to you.
I think in a lot of ways, I kind of come to the grips that it wasn't going to happen, and I was okay with that. I felt like, yeah, you want to win a championship. Yeah, it would be really cool, but especially nowadays with the format, winning a championship you have to be phenomenal for about 3 or 4 races. And if you can do that, obviously you put yourself in a great spot. You get into the Final Four and then obviously win the championship. For us, last year was this really weird season. We led a ton of laps. We won a ton of stages. We did all these things that were big accolades, but we only had 2 wins in the win column. We still put a win in the win column. Like, at least we got that part of it. But at the same time, it's like, man, we weren't executing like we needed to. And then you go into Phoenix, and you have the car blows up in practice, or knocks the oil tank out of it in practice, and oils the racetrack down, and we go to a backup car on lap 2 of practice, and then we start at the back, and then we got the 2 penalties, and then it just like snowballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget the emotion when the caution came out, the last caution came out that got us, back around where we needed to be at. I'll never forget the emotion that I felt in that moment, knowing this is our shot. We have a chance to win a championship. And we drove up, we did all the right things, and honestly, if I have one thing that haunts me to this day, it's that I didn't try to be more aggressive to win the race. I just think when you race as long as I have and you know that a championship is, whatever, an eighth of a mile or a quarter of a mile away, it's hard to know you're putting yourself in harm's way. And even after the race, Riley said that if I had tried to cut down in front of him, he had every intention. He didn't care. He was going to win the race for his guys, and he would have moved me. So, the emotion coming across the line, though, that raw just, you see
it hits you.
Yeah,
it really hits you.
You could see it in my emotion of post race, like how special it was, and it was a big deal. It was a lot of fun. So. And
your entire family was there, so to win in front of them, all your crew there. You got your legendary car owner Dale Jr. there,
which was pumped, by the way. And I've known Dale Jr. for a long time, and I don't know that I've ever seen him that excited. And I didn't expect that emotion out of Dale. That was really weird. But probably the biggest one was my daughter.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Harper, she came up to me crying. And like Harper loves racing, but not like I love racing. She loves softball and cheerleading, right? Mm-hmm. So she comes up to me crying, and I thought maybe like she had fallen or something happened because she was crying. I didn't expect her to have the sentiment towards the championship like I did. And I grabbed a hold of her and I asked her, I said, "Are you okay? Everything okay?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "I've never seen you cry like this, so I know that this has to be super important." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, for an 11-year-old to have, kind of that mindset was a pretty cool moment as a dad, right? It makes me emotional even now, like thinking about it, because it's like you raise your kids to be better than you. You at least want to raise your kids to be better than you are. And that was a cool moment for me that she had one of those life experience moments that really meant something to her. And whether she cares what happened, what dad accomplished or not, doesn't really matter. It was neat to see her kind of recognize the moment, and hopefully it drives her to want to have her own moment like that somewhere in the future in whatever it is she wants to do.
Hopefully racing.
I'm okay. It's funny. If my kids wanted to race, I would do everything I could to give them the opportunities that my dad gave me, my mom and dad. But honestly, if she never wanted to race, I'd be okay with that too. I think if anybody's going to be the racer in the family, it's my youngest Willow. She's the daredevil crazy one, so she would probably be the racer.
Absolutely, and obviously every year the special helmet design, that's a little added touch as well. That kind of, when you start the playoffs, that gets you motivated to want to win a championship.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've not been able to do it either until this year, and I think this was the 9th or 10th one that we've done. And
that says a lot about you. 9th or 10th one that you've done. That means you're in the playoffs for 10 times, which is impressive. It's just to make it to that postseason.
It's been crazy. Yeah, and watching her be proud of her accomplishment of getting that helmet to a championship was really, really special. But I told her, I said, you got big shoes to fill for 2025, because I don't know how you replicate or beat that from last year. So I think for me, racing has always been and always will be a family sport. Mm-hmm. I look up and down these pit areas, and
most of these drivers, I know where you're going with this, they're all families.
They're all families.
It's all families working together.
Husbands,
right
wives,
here,
kids.
Charlie's parked right next to him, and his dad are working on the car right now.
It's cool moments. Those are moments that you'll never in the moment you don't realize how special they are. And as I've been lucky enough to be in the sport for a long time, and I've watched my parents grow older, right? It really has hit me more lately of just how special these moments are. And I want to pass that same thing along to my kids. Like I said, whether my kids ever do racing or not doesn't really matter. It's more about how do I give them life experiences and life moments that will mean something to them when they're my age.
Absolutely. Now we'll turn to Daytona next week. So now you got to defend the championship Xfinity. Is that any extra pressure for you going into that, knowing you're the champion and you got to defend it?
No. I mean, because the thing is, right, is like you set out at Daytona every year to make the Final Four, and then whatever happens at Phoenix happens. For me, I get a cool patch on my fire suit that says I'm a champion. But at the same time, I think it's business as usual. Like, I have the same thought process or motivation going into Daytona this year that I did last year. My wife did tell me, she said, you better enjoy this championship before Daytona. Yeah. Because when you get to Daytona, everybody's a zero, right? Because everybody's starting at 0 points. And she's like, yeah, you might have the banner. Yeah, you might have all these things. But at the end of the day, as a racer, you're only as good as your last race. And you got to go out there and do it over and over again. And she's not wrong. No. As much as I would love to say she's wrong and that I just automatically get all the good stuff in the world. But I'm proud of that we won the owners. We won the drivers. I'm proud of what we accomplished this offseason. The celebrations that we had and my team, how much it meant to them. So many of the guys on my team, this was their first championship. Yep. And 2 years ago, well, now almost 3 years ago now, but 2 years ago, my world got rocked to the core as far as my race team goes. I had the same race team at JR Motorsports since I started there. And I walked in on Monday after Phoenix at the end of 2022, and I got told, like, hey, your entire team is gone. You don't get to have those guys anymore. Yeah. And that was tough. I had great relationships, good friendships, like, and we ran well. It was family. We ran well, and we were a perennial playoff contender. And tough decisions had to be made in that offseason. And you never know how that next decision or change is going to affect you. Sometimes it can be good, sometimes it can be bad. And honestly, I was in a point in my career where I needed a change just to kick me in the butt, make me realize what I had, what I needed to work for. And I was able to sit down and say, these are the things that I want in a crew chief or in a team. These are the things that I'm not, like, not that they don't make a difference, but these are the things that I'm not as worried about. How do we get this and not worry about this? And I feel like we've done a great job of that. And I'll go to battle week in and week out with the team that I have right now. I have a great group of men and women that work on the 7 team and JR Motorsports as a whole. It's really, really been crazy. But really proud of the effort, and I'm excited for 2025. Adding the Daytona 500 in there.
I was just gonna say that was the next subject.
That has made Daytona way more stressful than ever. Yeah. Only because it's Dale Jr. and Kelly Earnhardt Miller going for their first Daytona 500.
And you're the driver.
And I'm the driver. and it's been cool because, like, Chris Stapleton.
Let me start with that. Obviously, Chris Stapleton came on board. This is the question I got to ask. How much Tennessee whiskey are you going to be drinking with him?
Well, technically, it's Kentucky bourbon with Traveler. But, it's been cool for me because just like I'm passionate for racing, Chris has been ultra passionate about the brand of Traveler and what it means to him. Very specific in, how the bottle looked and what it tasted like, and like, that's his baby. Ultra successful in country music. If you haven't listened to his music, he has music. This, like,
he's got that voice that when you hear it, like when he did the national anthem for the Super Bowl, that was like, that put people to tears. Like, that's how good
it's very like specific, and it's very recognizable, and not only that, musical. I don't know if a genius is the right word, but some of the songs that he's written with other artists that you don't even realize. Other genres of music. When he came to JR Motorsports to be a part of this, it's been funny for me to watch because he's a race fan, but he's never been to a NASCAR race. Like, he's sang the national anthem in a NASCAR race and never stayed for the race. Like, they just in and out and go to the next tour, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to be at the Daytona 500. He's like, there is nothing cooler to me than whiskey and NASCAR and the Daytona 500. He's like, there's nothing cooler. And you know, when we sat down and the day we did our launch, you know, our launch of the collaboration, I was nervous because I'm like, what does he think about this program? What does he want this program to accomplish?
Yep.
And he's just passionate about the brand, and like he wants to see it be successful, and he knows that part of that is to be out and promote it, and NASCAR is a great way to do that, and it's been really cool to see that all come together, and I think he's going to be excited.
Absolutely. And I got to ask, obviously you're going to be running Junior Motorsports equipment. You're a lone ranger. You got no teammates. Is there going to be like a connection with Hendrick or anybody that you're going to be working with? Because like, if you make the 500, as you know, until that last lap, you got to have some friends to get up there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Hendrick has been great through all of this to give us the knowledge and information that we need to be able to be successful, right? Because the Cup car is very different than the Xfinity Series car. But I would also say, too, you know, Junior Motorsports as a whole has a great relationship with Chevrolet on the Xfinity Series side.
Yep.
There's a lot of Chevys in the Daytona 500.
Yes, there is.
So, you know, although I know there are other Chevys that are trying to attempt to qualify, I feel like we've put ourselves in a good position. We have all the right tools that they can help us to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Now, ideally, you go qualify and you lock your way in and you don't have to worry about the duels. You can just ride around and have fun. But very rarely does that happen the way that you want it to happen, and you know, you got to figure it out. So if we have to race our way through the duels, I know we'll have the car to do it, and we just need the team to be able to do it as well, and teammates, I guess I should say. I mean, you can't get around Daytona without teammates.
No.
And I say teammates.
Or just somebody.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah.
You know,
Gotta
figurative
have somebody.
teammates, somebody to help kind of move you along. So we'll see what happens, but I couldn't be more proud of the program, and I'm just excited to be a little small piece of it for New Motorsports starting their Cup career.
Final question, I'm sure you get it a lot. How much longer are we going to see in NASCAR? Is there any plans like looking forward? How many more years you got, and you think?
It's a great question. I don't know. You know, I've said for years that I'll know when the time is right. And for me, it's funny. You know, NASCAR as a whole has changed significantly as far as drivers and income and things like that. And you know, for me, I've definitely not made enough in this sport to retire at 40 years old, 38 years old like I am right now, right? So whatever I do, I'm going to get a job whenever I get done racing. But at the same time, you know, I've been so lucky to be around amazing people and do a lot of really cool things in the sport. And I also have watched my dad grow this business for us for me, I've watched it for the last 38 years, but you know, for 50 something years, I don't want to see that go away.
And you walk around the pits, and I'm looking at some of the cars, and a lot of the cars have the Allgaier name on it. So
they do. We're very lucky in that regard. Yeah. And here's the thing: we try to give back to the dirt racing community as much as we can. Help out these racers that are going up and down the road week in and week out, and we're very proud of the relationships that we've built. You know, it was cool last night. You know, Mike McKinney is kind of a new driver to our group that he's come on board to try to help us promote the brand, but also to help us grow the brand in ways that understanding the resources that we can have to give back to the racers, right? What do racers need? How do we help them, you know, keep their programs going? And it was so cool last night to see him get his first gator, right? He's been coming here for a long time. He's led a ton of laps, been so close, and he got his first gator. So it's stuff like that you go, you know, when you see success from some racers, and then you go, man, that makes me feel proud that you see your name out there and going to victory lane or whatever it is. You go, man, that's made this whole effort worth it. So for me, whether I do a part-time schedule after I'm done racing or whatever, I don't know, but I think you'll always see me on the dirt track. somewhere,
Which is
some
good.
way.
Always at Dirt Car Nationals, hopefully.
Hopefully. And you'll see me slinging parts and tires and shocks and cars and whatever at some point, you know, when the racing days are over. And I'm looking forward to those times. I'm looking forward to working with my dad side by side. I think that, for me, that's what I really, really want.
Sounds like somebody's beating some sheep.
Yeah, I don't know what we got going, but they got.
Yeah.
Somebody's had a bad week, just like we have. But
yeah, but Justin, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to chat with me. Best of luck this year, Daytona next week. Hopefully, we can get you in the show qualifying on speed. That way, you don't have to worry about.
That would be amazing.
The duels, you can just kind of sit back and
ride.
Just ride and not have to worry about anything. But best of luck to you, and I appreciate you chatting with me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.